Hello and welcome back to another YouTube video on this channel. This video is a special video because it marks the start of my new 1 month game dev challenge, where I try to create a game within 1 month of developing. I made a poll where like 75 people are saying, okay, please make this 1 month game dev challenge, but 25% also said, hey, please do not stop with your normal videos, with your tutorials. So I came up with the idea to do this challenge, but I want to make sure that you learn something new every video. Yeah, so let's try daily uploads. I'm trying my best to upload daily. I hope you can understand that it maybe is not possible to upload every day, but I'm trying my best to manage this. Yeah, so let's get right into it. You see, the project is called Voxel Wars because I was thinking about a battle royale game. And yeah, let's not waste any time and just dive right into it. Okay, first I would create a character. This is just some prototyping. Of course, I want to create with you guys some models with Magica Voxel, for example, to keep the voxel look and make it a bit more simpler for me because, as you know from my devlogs, I'm not the best artist. I'm not the best modeler. So yeah, let's try to keep this simple. Okay, let's try to make a character first with a cube and an empty parent. So I call this player, and this is just the graphics or mesh for the player. So I call it mesh please. Thank you. And then just add a script to it. I just call it player controller, or maybe character controller is another component, but we need this also. So let's add a character controller, and then I just call it player controller. And while this is loading, I quickly add a ground for it. So we have a ground we can test it on. So let's do it here. And let's say it's 16 by 16 big. And now let's try to get something done in this first episode. Is this loading? Yeah, now it's loading. Cool. So the idea is that we have a third person movement here. And I want to add a Cinemachine to get the camera to be better than the default built-in camera. And yeah, then I want to check it out if it's working to make a third person controller, and then add the whole weapon stuff and stuff like that. So let's go back to Unity and add our Cinemachine. So now we got our Cinemachine imported. I press right click Cinemachine and add a free look camera. I call this, just Cinemachine camera. And now I make sure to get the player into the follow and the look at field. What do we want also in the world space? We want the orbits to be. If you do not know what I'm doing here, there's a pretty good tutorial from, I think, Breckies. I miss him every day, to be honest, where he explains quite good what you can do. But just in summary, you want the camera to follow a transform object. In this case, it's our player. Also, we want to look at the transform object of the player. So that's why I dragged the game object from the player into this little field from the Cinemachine free look camera. And now I said that I want to have the orbits in world space. That means that these orbits are not attached to the player. So they're in the world space. And now we can just easily adjust the height and the radius of these rings. You have 3 rings like an orbit, and So we can drag this here and see how we can adjust these modifiers to have the camera look in. If you enable here the gizmos, you can also see these rings. 3 rings, 1, 2, and 3 at the bottom. So I want to make sure that the bottom one is at the bottom, the middle is at the middle, maybe a bit above this cube, and the top ring, the highest ring should be way above this character to be. So let's see where this is going. So 0, maybe a bit lower. Yeah, I think this is good. Then I want to make sure the middle rig is at 2. Is this okay? Yeah, I think it's okay. And the top rig with 4. Yeah, I think it's okay to have it this way. Now we can check with this value on the right side if it's what we want. And I think it's okay to have it filled with these values. Okay, nice. Maybe we want to adjust the radius so we have it a bit more, distance between the camera and the player. So I take a 5, maybe a 7. A 5 is okay, I think. And 7, is this okay? We find out. We just find out. So I just added the camera to this scene, and let's try it out if this is working as intended. Okay, as you can see, we have our player, and if I move this mouse, this is working. As you see, this is working really, really, really nice. But maybe you see it right now. If I have this mouse going from left to right, the camera rotates to the opposite direction, and I do not want this. So we can invert these axes. I think it was possible. There it is. And now, or not inverted, and now it should work. Kind of fine. Yeah. This is the way I'm wanting it. Nice. So, but this mouse is still visible, and we want to lock the mouse to the center of the screen. So, just fix this little typo. Make this working directly in our player controller script. So, we want to do that in the start method. So we say cursor dot lock state is cursor mode locked. This is making sure that the mouse is visible still, but is locked to the center of the screen. We can watch this later, but now we want to make sure to add some properties for the player. So in this section, I want to have the player properties. So, okay, what do you mean with that? So, we want to have a serialized field and make it private. And this is for the player speed. So the player speed is, I would say, defaulted to 10. We just have to try it out. That's why we have it in the serialized field. If we have our player, our default player speed found, then we can remove this serialized field, or we maybe can add some scriptable objects to have some characters with different properties, like some character is faster than others, but deals fewer damage. Yeah, we can see it when it comes down to balancing the whole game. I think this is pretty interesting. But for now, I think this is totally okay. So now I'm creating the player turn smoothness value. This is how smooth the character turns around, because normally you have these snappy direction changes if you just use the directions you input. And there's a function, I think it's called, or there are many functions, slurp, smooth damp, but I think we are using the smooth damp angle. And with this function, you can create the smoothness speed, but I come down to that later. Okay, and now we're also wanting to have the input here, so I just player input. So, and have this here. Private player input. Ah man, it's not. Okay, I just have to create it. So to make the input as simple as possible, I want to install the new input system from Unity. Also in the package manager, I just search for input and then click here on install, as you saw right now. And this is installing us the new Unity input system. And with this input system, we have a UI where we can easily create new player inputs. And I think this is really helpful. So we want to restart this editor right now, so we see us again in 2 minutes. So we're back and I have the new Unity input system installed. But before I create the new input action map, I want to clean it up here a bit. So I'm just creating a new folder, calling it scripts, and I can move this there. To be honest, the readme and the tutorial info can be, deleted. So I just delete them, and then I move this universal render settings right into the settings folder. Maybe some people say, okay, this is not the way it should be, but I think it's it's clear for me where these scripts and settings are, so it's totally fine for me to get this organized. Okay, now as we have our structure here, I add another folder, calling it player inputs, and then I just create the new player input here, and I just call it player input. Nice. Cool. Then I just create another one, calling it actions, because maybe I want to have another action map called, I don't know, dashboard or something like that, but I want to stay on the actions action map. Maybe it's not the best name, maybe it's player is the better name. Okay, then I want to add a new action, and I want to call this action move. So with this action called move, I want to have a value, but it's on axis or vector 2. I think vector 2 is also pretty good. And I want to save this asset, and we also want to make sure to add these composites to our movement action. So we have WASD, and we want to make sure to have these on the keyboard. This was faster as intended. This was faster than expected. So let's just use this. And now we can, get our player input file here right now. So it's a private player input. And on the wake function, we just say, hey, we want to get our player input here. Cool. What we also want to do is we want to make sure that we get the events on when the button is pressed. So I think I call this move action. Oh, sorry, I have to declare some functions, variables for that. So we need the input action here, and I call this the move action, and I think we're okay with this one right now. And then we say, okay, move action dot started, and then we add a new function and we call this on movement, for example, or on movement started. And then we add another one, stopped, and then we say cancelled. Okay, then we want to make sure to add these function private void on movement started. And because this is an event, we want to make sure to have the argument passed correctly. So the argument is the action, input action, I'm sorry, dot callback context, and this is just the context for that. So we now have this function, and I'm just copy and pasting this for the stopped function either. So we just can have a look if this is working. Debug log context dot, I don't know, what do we want to know. Let's get the read value. What do we, I don't know. I just want to have the context debugged. Maybe not the best idea, but I want to try it out if it's working in the first place. So let's have a look if this is working as intended. I hope so. Maybe I missed something here. It's kind of possible because I'm not that of an expert setting up the new Unity system, to be honest. Yeah, but we want to have the player input here also. Then we want to have the player input action map. This is this one. Nice. So let's have a look if our context is correct. Sorry, I had to adjust the script again. I imported a new input action asset, the player input, and then I also want to set the move action to the player input dot find action move that we did in the first place. So these are the changes. So I think we can get rid of this script that we generated earlier before. Maybe I already cut it out, but yeah, we do not need this script. So let's dive right into this game mode. And as you see, press these buttons and our console is saying, hey, this is working really, really nice. Really, really nice. Cool. Then let's move on, literally. And yeah, maybe we can also organize this a bit, calling it, player input. Because the next things are, we do not need these, I think, because we just want to import it from our current component. I'm sorry, from the current game object. So we get the character controller, I call it char controller, and the transform cam. Good. So in the update function, I want to organize it to be under the start function. So this way. I want to check if we're walking, and if we're walking, then we can move on. So with the state handling, I just have this is moving variable. Later on, we want to have enum, which defines if we're moving or not, or if we're shooting. This is the state enum. But for now, I think it's totally okay to get this up this way. We just say if movement started, we start moving true, and if not, then it is false. We also could, which is the best in my opinion, is not handle this with a bool, but with a vector 2, and then we have the move input, for example. This is pretty interesting because we can just check if this is 0, because we set it here to 0. And then we can check right here if movement input equals 0. Then nothing happens, but it's unequal 0. Then we want to move. And with this move input, we can add this value to it. So this should work. I hope so, at least. And then we want to check in which direction we want to travel. So we create a new direction variable, but in the 3D world space. So we have this new vector 3, and there we add this move input dot x, and then 0, because we just want to travel in the x and z axis. Later on, with jumping and climbing, maybe we want to refactor this a bit, but for now, to keep it very simple, as in the first episode, I just want to have this a bit normalized here. So now we're checking if this direction is 0. Of course, I think we do not have to check it, because in the first place we check it if it's 0, and if it's 0, then this also is 0, obviously. So I want to not check that here, but if you implement it other way around, and not use this move input as a Boolean verifier, then you maybe want to have here a check if the direction is above a specific threshold, or is above like 0 or 0.1 or something like that. So let's create the target angle our player wants to look at. I call it target angle, I think. This is my pretty standardized. Can you say standardized? I think I can, as a not native speaker. Way I learned from Brekkies years ago, and in all my little projects, I always did this. So maybe it's kind of built in me. That's why I'm just using this. So if you want to check out how this is working exactly, I think I'll link it in the description, so you have also something to learn that way. So this is returning a radians, but we want it in degree, so we multiply it with red to degree, and then because we want also to have the the way the camera is looking at to this whole target angle, so we can move towards the direction the camera is looking. So, and also we want to calculate another angle. That's the smooth one, I think, angle I want to use, yes. And then we just have the transform of the player. I just call the transform angle here. Later on, we want to also cache this transform on this player component or player controller component to optimize the performance a bit. But I think for the start, it's totally okay to use it this way. And then we want to have the target angle here. And then we want to create a new float. I just use it, name it curve velocity, and create it right here. And we want to reference that here. This is not really that necessary. We never want this want to use this variable at all. It's just a temporary variable, I would say. Good, and then we want to have our transform rotation, based on everything I just said. Transform it to Euler, and then have our target rotation there. So I want to say rotation. Thank you. Okay, and then we want to have the movement direction. In this kind of stuff. So we have the controller. Oops, I call it char controller, I think. Yes, dot move. This will be the executing part where we want to move later on. But I also want to have a movement direction, because this is just the rotation, but we will also want to calculate the direction where we move in the player. So I just want to add the Euler to it just as barf, and there's another 0. There you go, and multiply it with vector3 dot forward, and then we can easily use this move direction times speed, the player speed. We want to travel the world, and then because we're in update, we want to have the time dot delta time. Maybe later on we're using rigid bodies, and this is done with physics. Then we might want to move this part to the fixed update, and then also want to have here fixed delta time. But I think for now it's totally okay to have it this way. Right now, when I think about it, we also have to set the char controller to the character controller and the cam. So this is a really prototyping way. Please do not do this in production. We later on want to use a game manager where we store the important stuff like cameras and so on. But I think for this little prototype, it's okay to save the camera this way. So let's see if this is working. And hooray, it's working fine. It's working really fine. The play speed is a bit too much, I think. And oh my god, the turning speed is way too slow. So we might want to have it divided by 10, and the play speed, let's make it half. And as you can see, we're not having the gravity in place because as I said, we have the y-axis bound to 0, so there's nothing with jumping and stuff like that. And because this cube is at -1 and this is at 0, it might look a bit odd to you. So let's give it another try. Yeah, much better. Much better. And as you see, the camera is facing in the right direction. Hooray. So, thanks for watching the first episode of my 1 month game dev challenge. I want to make sure to upload every day to get this project started and have a nice battle royale game at the end of this 1 month game dev challenge. I also tried to add a GitHub repository where you can also have a look what I'm doing. Maybe I'll add it at the end of the challenge, or maybe update it during the challenge, so you have something to look at, and yeah, dive in the code yourself. And yeah, that's it from my side. Thanks for watching. We see us in the next episode tomorrow, I hope so. So have a great time. See you. Bye bye.